The RNC went into lockdown. The headquarters in DC locked down because of hazardous substances. Here's the report.
The Republican National Committee headquarters put on lockdown today after vials of blood were sent to that building from an unknown source. Let's get right to NBC's Julie Sirkin on Capitol Hill. Julie, what are you learning?
Yeah, Anna, just before 8 a.m., Capitol Police blocked off the area, evacuated those that were inside the RNC. You can imagine it's a busy time in the morning. Folks there having breakfast, having their meetings. The Capitol Police evacuating the building after 2 vials of blood were sent in a package to that building. I was there around that area surveying it while the staff were waiting outside, while a lot of different police vehicles were around the premises trying to figure out what exactly happened and what was sent to the RNC. A couple of moments ago, the U.S. Capitol Police clearing that area, saying that staff were allowed to go back inside. They are still investigating the specific contents, monitoring those vials of blood as well. They released a statement saying that the package was cleared by our Hazardous Incident Response Division. It contained those 2 vials of blood. The source of the package and its contents will be further investigated. No word on whether there was a suspect, whether any arrests were made as well. But you can imagine this is obviously a scary time, especially as we've seen politics and violence just continue to play out around this Capitol complex in the last couple of months.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. Let's put up a picture of the building. Obviously, this is a scary moment for those who were there and maybe those who worked there as well, but not present at the time. We can all agree that it is not proper. It is not to be celebrated. This is a threat. More than likely, Republican National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. was briefly placed on lockdown Wednesday. Early this morning, after a suspicious package was discovered, a police source told CNN that the package not only contained 2 vials of blood, but also a Korean Bible and 2 ice packs. An all clear was issued roughly after 9 a.m. Eastern time. A hazardous materials team is still on site. And U.S. Capitol Police, they are in fact participating in the investigation. Now, everybody conclusively will say, not a good thing. Nothing here to smile about. This could be a prerequisite to an attack. This could be an attack itself. Once they analyze the material, we will know more. But something else happened in DC. You see, in this instance, thankfully, nobody was harmed. Nobody died. No building was destroyed. Nobody was threatened with hanging. However, when people were threatened, when property was destroyed, when people did die, here's the response of former President Donald Trump.
Overnight, former President Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner, showing voters he hasn't changed. Mr. Trump again pushing lies and conspiracy theories about the 2020 election he lost, and going further in his support of people convicted of crimes related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control. I would say it will be a large portion of them. You know, they did and it'll be very early on.
The former president also describing his supporters who attacked the Capitol on that day, which left 5 people dead, this way.
They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable and it was a beautiful day.
The audience seeming very supportive of Mr. Trump, cheering and laughing throughout the event, including when he continued to attack E. Jean Carroll, just 1 day after a New York jury found him liable for sexually abusing her in 1996 and for defaming her in his denials of the assault.
And I swear to, I have no idea who the hell, she's a
Mr.
whack
President,
job.
You see the contrast here. I don't want you to fall into the darkness, so to speak. When we start saying things like I don't care about them because they don't care about us. We have allowed the darkness to set in. Dr. King put it this way, that you cannot root out darkness with darkness. Only light can do that. You see, the fact that there's a contrast means there's a level of consciousness still inside of you, and thus it's on this planet. Meaning there's an absolute right and there is an absolute wrong. There's a path that moves us forward, and there's a path that provides capacity for us to move backwards. Donald Trump represents that latter crowd to move us antithetical to the direction we should go. So here we are. There's seemingly somewhat of an attack by way of a package to the RNC. I'm not celebrating this, nor would I. You're not celebrating this. But there are those who would celebrate it if it went to the DNC headquarters, for sure. There will be all kinds of conspiracy theories, social media posts about what possibly this is related to. The elements that we're talking about, man, they harm my soul sometimes. And the reality is we're in a place where people don't care anymore. And I'm finding myself having to have conversations with my daughter that I don't want to have. She's a freshman in college. So, sure, how do you see this personally?
Well, look, I share the sadness because this is not just the Republican National Committee headquarters. You're literally steps away from one of the House office buildings, and then and then on the south side of the Capitol complex, and then around the corner from the RNC, there are townhouses where people live. So thank goodness the police are unfortunately used to having quick responses and sending out the hazmat, because there's been all sorts of strange stuff that has been mailed to the Capitol complex through the years. You're talking about anthrax, bullet casings, now blood. And I think the danger, of course, is that when the rhetoric is so intense as it is, I think sometimes on both sides, you have the lunatics out there who think, oh, well, maybe because, Lara Trump is in charge of the RNC, I need to send a message about what kind of vampire she is. I'm going to send them blood. And that's really not very funny. And it's harmful to the staffers and to everybody who works there, because there are decent people, even at the Republican National Committee. We may disagree with their policies, but these are human beings. And when people have to go through sometimes the life-changing experience of evacuating a building, that's something those folks will never forget. Nobody should have to go through that.
Nobody at all. Obviously, we will bring updates as they develop so that we can get to the bottom of it. Investigation is still pending.